Right, welcome back guys for part 2. Right, okay, as we have already covered on the movements as well as by separating the components and making it into modular pieces and so on and so forth. Now is where we are planning for coloring. Okay, a lot of times that we see when you're sculpting, normally I would strongly recommend that you go for anything either matte gray or matte white and so on and so forth. Something matte, not too shiny, not too um, you know doesn't have too much of specularity and so on and so forth. Okay, so that will then give you a good first look of how the details are spread out and so on and so forth. Okay, that's to start off. Say you have already finished a sculpt, right? So once you have already finished your sculpt, say you want to paint things, so you want to give a little color, right? Every time that you have colors, as you can see here, you got the mRGB, RGB and the material channel. Yep. So this Z add, Z sub and Z cut, these three, anything with Z, yeah, above here, as you can see my cursor. So this is for sculpting, whilst the RGB and mRGB is where the colors is going to come in. M is for materials, RGB is just the colors, as well as the uh, material RGB, which means the material colors and so on and so forth, right? So when you want to paint something, what you can do is you can off the Z add, right? Do not off the edit. Off the Z add, say you're in dynamic, right? And now if you were to color, what you should do is you have to on the RGB, right? So what it says is by origin, anything that you have that you have started off with materials like this, right? So straight away everything that has none of this brush that has been clicked or checked or highlighted, right? It will then apply to all the subtools by default if you change, right? Got it? So if let's say I'm in Z add, if I change any of these materials, it will apply to everything that is actively in the subtool by default. Got it?
Yeah,
Alright, cool. So now if you want to paint over, say anything that you worked on with gray, you want to paint something, right? If you want to change colors here, if you switch colors, it won't apply to the what they call the object or the mesh. All you have to do is you hit the RGB and now you can start painting. I make sure the Z sub is off, alright, and RGB is on, and now you can go to color, you can fill object, or probably what you can do is you can start coloring on top of it. See that? Okay, so you can switch these colors to whatever color that you want. See that? It now starts to color. Got it?
yeah,
Right. So that is sort of like you want to fill in colors and so on and so forth. As simple as that. And you can make the draw size slightly bigger and it will start coloring on the character. Okay, why is this in white, you may ask, right? That is because in the previous color that we have already set, matte gray, alright, it will read that matte gray, it has not filled in. Okay, it's a little buggy. And once you have already started painting, you just have to do undo a couple of times and it will then help you to color on top. See that? If let's say it has filled, that's fine. You just have to paint over once and oops, yeah, and yep, do an undo or just do a mask outside, so it will then indicate what kind of color that you have already applied on the character. Make sense? So we change to green. You can switch colors. See that? Can you all do this? Are you all trying? You can change this color to something else if you want to. Black color, anything, right? White color, and so on and so forth. Okay, with this now you can do a rough indication of where the color is going to be and how you want to paint your object. Makes sense? Yeah. So normally what it does is it will read this main color, secondary color. See, you can switch main to secondary main, right? So main colors is where it's going to pick up the colors from and it's going to paint over the object. Make sure Z add and Z sub is off. You can also on Z add, right, as well. It still works, but it will start to add in or kind of like evolve the mesh around. See that? You can still sculpt as well as paint. So this is also useful whenever you're doing, like, you're on the go, you're doing a quick concepting, you can do with this as well, right? Like muscles, for instance, if you're looking at muscles, say a bit fleshy, see that? I can add in some colors like that. Got it?
No.
Yes? No?
No.
No. Okay. Wait.
When I feel the color, it feel all of it. So
Oh, okay. When it fills all of it, sometimes it will just straight away do this, like how the eyes is, changing the color, right? So whenever you add a material, when the material is on, right, whenever you change the colors, it will start to change or it start to fill the entire space because it is stating that you're filling the whole object. So in order for you to not fill it, you just have to do a little painting, right? Just do this example and then click on elsewhere or just do undo. Then you'll see, hey, this is fine, this is looking okay. All right, Ken? So this is what happening, right? So it fills everything, like the eyes. So if you want to fill color for the eyes, it automatically, it kind of like changes the color for that by default. So all you have to do is you have to paint over the mesh first, just to get it kick-starting on painting the surface of the mesh. Make sense?
no.
No. Again, let's move on. I'll just, this is what happens. I'm going to go for default back again. Something grayish. Yep. And I'm going to go to color. I'm going to fill color. Okay, when I fill object, this is what happens. This is what you're getting now. Right?
Yeah.
Alright, so what you can do is I can just go to white color again, go to color, fill object first. So once I get the base color, say skinish color, again, let's try another one more. So I change the main color or any of this color, you can switch it. Go to color, fill object. Once you have already filled the base color, now you can pick any of this color. Alright, it doesn't change, right? After you fill,
We
you pick a color, go to color, color tab here, fill object. Once you fill, every meshes that you see on your viewport will be colored with that particular color as a base. Alright? Can I? Guys,
Uh,
choose
yeah.
choose a color, right? Choose something like that and go to fill object, and it has filled the entire object with a color. Alright? So now if you were to color a specific color, you want to change color, just click on this colored two box here, right? Change the main color to something else, something dark for instance, right? If you change, it would not apply until you start painting on it. See that? Okay?
It applied all of the color.
No, you have to fill color first. Fill color first, again, fill a color, go here. So sometimes when you change color here, it will apply on the other objects. So what you're doing is you're indicating, okay, now this is the color, all right, as a base color. I'll go here, I'll fill object. See that? Right? So if I want my eyes to be white color, I'll switch, I will fill object. I will select the subtool again, fill object. So base colors are already set. Now I go back to my body subtool. What I do is I will change the color, something red for instance. See, nothing changes because you already set the colors first. Got it? You can see this brush is on. If you choose the subtool, highlighted, before this no, right? Now you already filled means it will show you the brush is on. It indicates you can paint on the object. Make sense? Hello.
No.
Again, huh? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to matte gray or matte green, whatever. Okay. The moment you change any material, it will apply straight on the object. Got it? This part clear?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So now you want to apply a color. So what you do is first and foremost, choose the subtool, right? Make sure that the subtool that you're on, if let's say body means body, eyes means eyes, you can rename it, okay, in proper. Then you choose a color from here, correct? This part you all get it, eh? Choose a color
Yeah.
from here. When you click or choose any colors, anything that is not assigned or we have not filled in colors or fill object, right? It will change color automatically, correct? Because it is globally changing. So now what I'm doing is you can choose any of this color, right? Before you choose any color, you assign a color first. So which means you go here, you fill an object first. So any base color. That part clear?
Yeah.
Alright. So once you have already done this, make sure Z add Z sub all is off. Only RGB is on. This is just for painting. So now what you can do is you can choose any of this color, be on the subtool, alright, on the meshes that you're going to work on. Choose any of this color and you start painting. Can see now?
Yeah.
With standard brush, you can change the stroke to freehand if you want to. So it starts to paint the areas that you are practically painting, like how you're painting in Photoshop and all that. Can I girl? Did it work?
I think can because subtools are separated.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
haven't yet.
Oh, okay, okay. So everything
So
you haven't merged things yet.
yeah, so everything is one by one.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. So what you can do is you can off certain subtools. Focus on one first. So if you have merged like me, right? Then everything is like, you set one base color. After that, you can just start painting on it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So if you just want to focus on one now for practice purpose, you highlight or you practically hide the others. Okay?
Okay.
So sometimes because when you're working, right? So if you don't see the eyes, for instance, you don't see this eyes, if it's not on, and you don't see if it's just blank, pure black, white like this, right? So you may not get the feel out of it. Get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So what you may want to do is you want to color this. For instance, I'm going to go for black. All right. So draw size. Have an alpha push, and I'm going to paint over this. So for instance, I pick this any of this color. Supposedly, that's not X. Oop, it's not working. Ah, it's painting on the wrong side. Active symmetry of 8. Okay. Supposedly it should work. Unfortunately, it's not working at this point of time. There you go. You paint over like that. Change the main color and you have an eye. You can see now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have something like that. And if you want it to be a little shiny, right? So these are things that you want to work with, right? Main color, change the main color, say a bit reddish. You can paint a little reddish. You can see eye is now formed, and you can change the color to something white. The harder you press, the nicer it becomes, or more stronger it becomes. You can have the intensity to 100. Yeah, 100 is fine. Yeah, it's there. You can see.
Yeah.
You can change this to any other brushes if you want to. You don't want to change this alpha, you want to go for alpha 13, up to you. Okay, paint over and see how it works. So with this now, then you can indicate, hey, the ice is there for your reference, right? And you can also add a different material for this guy. Okay, hit M. You can hit something more shiny if you want to, reflective. See that?
Yeah.
Right? And done. See if I on this. Okay, hang on. Go to material and hang on. By right, you should be able to add in this different material, and you go here. You apply that green. This guy still not green. Why man? color. Fill. Hang on, so supposedly the material should be added in, but never mind. For now, let's go with fill object first. Yeah. So for now, let's just work with matte gray first. Then we'll talk about the materials later. Yeah. So this is first to indicate how it looks. Okay. So far,
Yeah.
right? So if I go here on this guy, focus, off, reset. I'm gonna rotate this somewhere, whatever not. Bring it to the center, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's transform, reset. Oh, that's because this guy is, remember, we had the same issue previously because the pivot point has now changed and active is there. Drag it over. Alright, cool. See that? Supposedly it should show. If it's not showing, you just have to drag it over. There you go. And rotate it wherever you want. And this part. So now you'll have an eye for the character. Again, for this guy, if you change, you off your symmetry and so on. If you press X, you can rotate this wherever or whichever components. Make sure X is off, symmetry is off, so you can rotate the eye. So for instance, if I want to paint this guy, go for standard brush, B standard, right? Change color. I can supposedly paint over it. Okay. Isolate this. If it's not working, go to color, fill object. Now start painting. Hey, for some reason it's not working. But yeah, this is for some reason if it's not working, that's fine. You can just delete this. If you have painted one, you can just delete this guy. Yep. Choose this, go to deform, do a mirror. Okay. Place it where it's supposed to be placed, like that. You make it slightly smaller or bigger, whichever not, right? And then drag it over. See somewhere there. Okay. And you go to geometry and mirror and mirror. Supposedly it should work. If it's not working, hold control and drag over. Rotate it. Done. So the eyes is now under 1 sub 2. Can?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure mask is off. we have these two together. Da-da-da. Okay, so when you have something like this, for instance, once you have already painted the eyes and all that, you will start to feel more confident, and you will kind of like, hey, now it works. It's, you know, I can paint over stuff and so on and so forth, right? So you'll feel more confident, and you'll see the landmarks is much more clearer for you, because a lot of you may not see it from just a plain color. You want to see, oh, okay, um, I want to see a little bit more colored, so it gives me a little bit more confidence in painting the character and so on and so forth, and gives me more landmarks to play with. Got it?
Yeah.
hmm So that is coloring, right? Once you have this coloring, then what you can do is you can just, go back to your, how to swap, right? By not just hoping on subtool objects here. So let's say you're holding on the alternate, go ahead and actually click on the objects and swap it. See that? I'm supposedly swapping it by right. But if it's not working, so you can always go back here. Right? By holding alternate and just tapping on the object, you can just swap to one subtool to another. Right? So RGB on, Z add off. Now you can just go back to your body and start painting. Okay? Make the brush size a little bigger. Paint over. If you want on the symmetry, start painting it. Give it a little color. Yellow. Okay. The intensity depends, huh? 100% is 100% lah, huh? We go here, change to blue, perhaps. Anything that is shadow, so you can just change. Okay, okay. By holding Alt, actually, you can just by holding Control, if I'm not mistaken. Hang on. Oh, C. See, you can swap colors. You can pick from the object. You can see, C, paint, C, and normally the yellow areas is where it's going to be highlighted, where the light is going to be strong and so on and so forth. Then what you can do is you can pick any of these colors, you can blend it depending on how much of pressure that you are adding in. Sorry. You can see, depending on how much of intensity that you have, hold C to pick, color pick, and start blending. Can?
Yeah.
A little bit of blue, blue.
Ye-
Sorry? Hello? You saying?
Hmm?
Anyone saying anything? Can I?
Yeah.
Feel better now?
What?
So yeah, this one takes a little practice lah. Yeah. So I'll post a YouTube video as well, right? So you guys can have a look at it. So basic colors that you can work with. So say you want to work with this dude, you want to identify which is the highlighted areas. So the red color is probably the midtones. The blues is for the what they call, um, shadowed areas most of the time, and yellow again is for highlighted areas. Okay, can so intensity, no matter how much high you put, right? The intensity will give you how much is going to fill on that object and so on and so forth. Okay,
Yeah.
right. So that's for color first. So once you get the color, then you can go ahead and then apply other materials later on, right? Because materials is also not that difficult, but let's do this first. Can and yeah, it starts off with this. Pick any of the color from here. Okay, hold C and just drop your cursor. Don't need to even tap. Push. It will just pick the color. Hold C, pick the color. Hold C, drop it. Off. Hold and off. Don't need to even tap. And it will pick the color and start painting. Then how you want to blend it, it depends on what kind of alpha, right? So understand that you can use spray if you want to. Hold any of this color, say see anything that is the surface or the cursor is dropping in, say for instance around here, and you can spray color as well. See, it gives you different result like pause and so on and so forth. You can see it
Yeah.
sprays. So depending on how do you want to spray it, so you can do color spray, you can change the alpha to something like that. Maybe the intensity I will increase to 100. See that? You won't see much because the color is maybe not strong. You can see now. Can it gives you a different spray or different result. Can you play with the alphas, play with the type that you're looking at, say for instance drag and select, so you can drag and select, see that, you can do that as well, change the alpha. If let's say you want to have like veins and so on, so you can go for example, this example, you can change the alphas as much as you want. You can download it from the Z Central as well. So go for alpha, say for instance for now something like vein like this, like brains and all that. You want to change color, you can change color to something very bright. For instance, you can drag and drop. See that? Right? You want to change to something green, you can do that as well. Or you can do color spray if you want to. It gives you a different sort of result that will be fun to use. Can? Hello?
Yeah.
Right? So have fun with these colors. Then later next week we'll cover on the materials and stuff like that. Okay?
Okay.
But you get the idea, right? If you're using
Yeah.
your mouse, it's very strong, huh? With color spray, it won't have that blending much. It is straight away. Like for instance, sometimes you may need to. You don't want to just paint, sometimes the pressure is not strong, so you want to have it really fast and really very solid color, so you can use the mouse. Get what I mean? Get the rough edges. uh, Example, very veiny, and you can even use direct select, make it slightly bigger and break it up, change the color, maybe darker blue. Yeah, see that? If you want it to be very solid, use mouse first for landmarks, then you use your pen to your drawing tool to just paint over. Like for instance, I want to use freehand, you're gonna go and paint it like that, slowly paint. Okay,
Yeah.
right? So couple of ways of doing things, depending on how you perceive things, and yeah, how you want to adjust it accordingly, or how you want to paint over and make it more fun. Okay, I'll leave it to you guys.
Okay.
Okay, you find your, say, your best working, you know your your best working workflow for you, and it gives you a faster result. You find that and then paint over and play around with it, right? So this is supposed to be fun, right? So yeah, you see now we have already created a more interesting character. So when you paint, you start painting your characters, you feel more confident in on the end result. Am I right? If not, you're going to go like, how does it work? I only see one silhouette. You get what I'm trying to say?
Huh?
You get what I mean? If it's just one flat color, sometimes you may not see it. You may want to just do a simple color tossing like this, and then what you can do is you can just adjust things. Like for instance, I go back to my Z add, and this is where I go ahead and then do maybe a clay build up and so on and so forth. I start building up. You get what I mean? I extrude or protrude certain areas, so the volume is much more, you know, stronger or solid to be red like that. Can,
Yeah.
right? So these are things that you can work with. So there's a couple of ways. There's no specific ways that is, you must do this then in order for you to do that and so on and so forth. You can break the rules as long as you can produce the best output. Make sense now?
Yeah.
All right. See, sometimes when you paint, then you add in this kind of, you know, little details. And you're like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Now I can see the flow, right? I can see the textures and so on and so forth. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So these are things that you can work with and have fun with, right? So yeah, that's my take. See, when you have, like I said before, if everything is smoothened, you won't see the meshes is like, well defined, or you won't get these textures, right? That's why sometimes you have to, depending on how you work with things, like say you want to go for alpha 13, you want to reduce the size a little bit, you want to do a little bit of, you know muscles strokes and so on and so forth. You can see it gives you a nice blend of textures. Can, it's not so flat all the time. And you can use the trim brush you can do slowly, right? So every time that you have anything to be smoothened, you can use the trim brush and smoothen things like that. See the textures is giving you. You can see,
Yeah.
right? So instead of just smoothen will just make it like extremely polished. But sometimes you want to retain certain cuts and creases, the textures. So I would strongly recommend that you go back and forth lah. Yeah. Sometimes you use the smooth brush. Sometimes you use the trim brush. Right? Trim dynamic. Right? Trim dynamic is also another options for you to make the surface kind of like it maintains the textures but also smoothens it just a fair bit. You can see now? So textures is there somehow.
Yeah.
Sculpting it feels more human, right? It's not just smoothing. This is smoothing. See? Super smooth. Unless you need it. Lah. If you're doing a very clean character, yes, smoothing is another option. Right? Definitely to go for smooth. But if you want to give a little bit more like skin tone with a little textures, then you want to go with trim dynamics and trim it. Okay?
Yeah.
More natural, like look more natural and feel like more depending how do you perceive things. So sometimes it gives you sort of like you're sculpting on a real clay feel. Doesn't need to show every single stroke, but just a fair bit. So it feels like, oh, okay, that's cool. I feel it much more. Um, the surface is much more um, can have that touch and feel option, right? See that? As opposed to here, it's very smooth. But when I have these strokes, it feels like, oh, okay, this sort of like muscle is forming, his shoulders and so on and so forth. Can?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Alright, that's that for me. And yep, once you're happy with this, then you can go for Z plugin and you can extract all these textures later on. Okay, so extracting textures will come in later after you've tried this first. Okay,
Yeah.
right. Please try this first and see what you can come up with and have fun with this, dude. Right. So today we have already covered polygroup a little bit. We have covered about how to color, right? The basic fundamentals of coloring. And once you're done with this, I'll post a video as well, right? Now have a look at that video and then you'll get an idea, a better idea of how to apply the colors as well as breaking down the components in proper. Yep. So that's that for today. Thank you guys.